This is the foundation of fluency. When you have advanced pronunciation, you focus so much on being correct, but really it's connected speech that allows you to sound smooth. It's more than being correct, it's being natural. But it can be a little overwhelming because there are lots of different components. So we're going to focus on the two parts of connected speech that, in my expertise, will give you the biggest return on your investment. So linking and blending. Let's take a look at what these mean. So linking is when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound. So you link the two sounds and pronounce them together. If your first thought is, I need to take notes, I don't understand what that means, I need to study this more, breathe. You are not a student. There is no test. I just want you to understand the concept, but we're going to work on application. That's where you're going to get the most out of it. So this is just, if it benefits you, great. If not, with the practice, you'll understand it. Remember, no one's going to ask you, are you linking? Are you using connected speech? Nobody cares. But you care in terms of improving your fluidity. So here's an example. Read, d ends in a consonant sound. Is a vowel sound. So instead of read a book, read a book. Good. And make sure that you're repeating after me because I don't want you to gain intellect. I don't want you to gain knowledge. Today, I want your jaw and your tongue to feel sore from all of the practice. I just want to read a book tonight. Now, when you're practicing connected speech, I want you to practice it slower. As you do it more and more, yes, the result will be sounding like you're speaking faster, but it's very important to give your mouth the space and the time it needs to be able to link. And then once you add real life context and adrenaline, it's going to sound faster, but don't practice it faster. Let's try the next one. Here we have the L consonant sound linking to the I vowel sound. Goal is. Now this one's good because, and Miyan, you and I have talked about this before. The S can be a little bit confusing in English because it has different sounds. So instead of feeling nervous about trying to figure out where the S sounds like a Z, when it sounds like an S, when it sounds like something else, just focus on the high frequency words, the words that you actually need and use. For example, is, we use that all the time. So by perfecting that one, your English is in general going to sound a lot more correct. And then as you figure out what other words you use the most, you can look them up and confirm if it's an S sound or a Z sound. My goal is to speak English fluently. Okay, relax your shoulders, pretend like someone's asking you what your New Year's resolutions are. And if you notice that there's a K and a consonant sound and a vowel sound here, that's another example where we can link. So again, someone just asks you, what are your New Year's resolutions? My goal is to speak English fluently. Good. Goal is speak English fluently. Good. Let's try another one. Our main goal is to increase revenue this quarter. Now notice with this one, because you're more advanced, I want to make sure that you don't depend on the more beginner intermediate question structures. In real life, a lot of times we don't change the structure of our questions to fit like, is this or did that? We just change our intonation to make it sound like a question. So for this one, to visualize the situation, maybe I'm thinking, you know what, our goal should be production. Is this really what you want to focus on? So then you kind of bring that attitude into it. Our main goal is to increase revenue this quarter. Good. Time is. So we've got the Ms and the Z at the end. If you're struggling with the Z sound, get silly with it. Pretend like you're telling your daughter, Sabela, that the B goes buzz. Zzz. Feel that vibration. Buzz is. Repeat after me. Time is. Good. What time is it? Now here, notice that there's another linking opportunity. If you don't practice the pronunciation of the S as a Z, it's also going to impact how you link it. So what time is it? That's going to sound like a really strong accent. Nothing wrong with that, but you're here to see your options. What time is it? Zit, kind of like a pimple, right? A zit. What time is it? Good. Now, speaking of high frequency words that we mentioned earlier, for the Z sound, these are the 3 words that I would recommend feeling really confident about because we use these words all the time and it does impact your accent. So repeat after me: is, has, was. Now, this is where if you're just beginning the program and you're not fully familiar with the IPA symbols, that's okay. A lot of it can be used as a tool for confirmation. For example, if you're not sure if the S sounds like a Z, you can look up the pronunciation and you can see the symbol like, oh, okay, it is a Z. If you're hearing someone say has and was, you're like, okay, I see that that's an A, but why does it sound different? Does it? So then you look it up and you realize, oh, the A is actually a different symbol in each of those words. So then you can look that up and refine those particular sounds. So a lot of times it's not about memorizing or knowing IPA, it's about using it as a tool for confirmation or clarity. Relax your shoulders. Live in. Vin. I live in DC. And let me know in the comments, where do you live? Which I know where some of you live, but share it anyway. And as you're typing it, I want you to say it out loud. I live in DC. Okay. Now here, I want to take a moment because this is where I hear mispronunciation even at the more advanced level. And especially with my guests today, I see that a lot of you are Spanish speakers, and this applies to you even more. So live, in this particular context, it's eh. If you say with the Spanish I, it's going to sound like leave. And this is where people might look confused because it actually changes the word. So it sounds like leave, like don't leave yet. So we want to say live. I live in. So this one is the verb because then like today we are live. So that's different. So live and then leave. And I keep showing you the mouth shape because then you can check yourself. You can actually go in front of the mirror and you can see where's your mouth for those. And that way that can help you. If you don't hear the difference yet, that's okay. Sometimes checking your mouth can help you fix what your ear can't hear yet. Okay. How are, wah. How are. How are you today? Good. Now notice here that I use the reduction instead of today, today. Ah, Jessica, you're in Montreal. How cold is it there right now? It's cold in DC, but I'm sure Montreal is frozen. What about Pamplona? Is it chilly there yet? How are you today? Let me make myself bigger here so you can see the mouth. The difference between today or today. Good. Now, this one is really important because this is where, again, having an accent is fine. But when your accent causes miscommunication or misunderstandings, we really want to focus on those. So something else that I see a lot of people do is they'll do the Y sound in English too hard, especially Spanish speakers. So instead of you'll say Jew. To an American, that's going to sound like that first word. And that's a completely different word with a completely different meaning. So that can cause people to feel some confusion until they hear the context. So for the top one, your teeth are together, j, j. So all you have to do is separate your teeth a little bit and you. And that's going to give you the clarity that you need. So let's practice. YouTube. Now, this is where you can say it like you would in your language. So, for example, Spanish speakers, you might say YouTube, and then we're going to open up the mouth a little more. YouTube. Good. And the last one, Happy New Year. Year, not jeer, year. The tiny space makes a huge difference and it gives your accent so much clarity. All right. Oh my gosh. Montreal is -17 today. Oh no. Please stay warm. Oh, 15 in my blood. Not bad. Okay. All right, let's practice here. Where are? Now, this one's interesting because of the R sounds. It is a mouthful. So what I recommend for this one is to, again, get silly with it and pretend that you're trying to make a dinosaur sound. I find that when you think you're talking to kids, it takes away a lot of pressure. So pretend you're trying to play with your kids or nieces and nephews and you're trying to be a dinosaur. Roar, roar. The tongue goes back. It activates that American R placement. So instead of werar, rar, where are? Good. Remember, your tongue is used to moving a specific way. I mean, all of you that are here, you've been saying things a certain way for decades. It's going to take practice and muscle repetition in order to have your body accept a new movement. So be playful and be patient. Where are you from? Where are you from? Good. Here we have book it. So kit, book it. Another thing to practice here is the lips for the OO. If you're saying, think about how, and I keep referring to Spanish because of our lovely guests here. If you say Facebook in Spanish, Facebook, but in English, book. So if your lips come out, that's going to give it an oo sound. We're going to go back a little bit, relax it, book it. Instead of book it, book it. Good. Can you book it online or on the app? Good. And if I'm going too fast or you need a little more time to finish the sentence practice, please let me know in the comments. I'll slow down. Now look at all these beautiful examples of linking. So here, let's try again. You can book it online or on the app. Now, intonation plays a big part. For example, for me, I would probably pause in between online and or. So I won't link there. You can book it online or on the app. So or on. So depending on your delivery, there is flexibility. All right, let's try this. Can they book it online or on the app? Good. And a lot of times when you're doing the practice on your own, I usually draw lines or I'll separate it like this so I can see the sentences in chunks. I find that that really helps make it easier to incorporate intonation training with connected speech training. And it's flexible. So if you're saying it and it doesn't feel good, play around, put words on different sections until you find the rhythm that makes it feel the most you. All right. Watch. The T is silent. It's just a ch. Watch. Let's watch a movie tomorrow. Now, two things here. Number one, instead of tomorrow, you might have noticed it's a little bit reduced to tomorrow. The other thing, this is why you're not a student anymore. If you just practice watch, that would not be realistic because notice that once I actually use it in the sentence, instead of cha, it was a smaller sound. Watch. Let's watch a movie. Let's watch a movie tomorrow. So always put it in context. I 100% recommend use sentences that are real for you. So maybe here you think, okay, I like to watch movies. So you're going to visualize yourself. Maybe your wife is asking you what you want to do this week, and you're like, let's watch a movie tomorrow. Notice how I specifically in the visualization mentioned a wife, because when you incorporate people that are in your real life, whether it's colleagues or friends or spouses, your body language changes and you're able to find your natural voice. So it's not just about saying it correctly, but about saying it like you. All right, here. This is where IPA also helps because if you're a Spanish speaker, for example, you might see this and you want to say playa. But when you see the IPA, the symbols, it really helps you kind of break apart that tendency of going back to what you think it should be and seeing it for what it is, which is a different language. Playa. Good. So now visualize you're talking to your colleagues. They're all trying to figure out what to get together and do this weekend. So you're going to suggest, let's play a round of golf this weekend. Good. So it's casual. Let's play a round of golf. And here we have another opportunity. Round of. It kind of sounds like dove, like the bird. Let's play a round of golf this weekend. And remember to relax your shoulders. This is so you don't get into student practice mode, but instead, real life practice. So now that we've done linking, the other section of or component of connected speech that I find to be really beneficial is blending. So this one, when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with the same consonant sound, you blend the two sounds and only pronounce it once. Do not take notes. If you want to take notes, don't, unless it helps you. But if you're going to go back to study it, I want you to practice it. Plus, remember, I'm going to put this in your program so you can watch the video again. Okay, a good example of this one is hot tea. It ends with a t. It begins with a t. So we're just going to eliminate one, and there's no pause. I think that's really the trick to making sure blending sounds natural. I would like a hot tea. Instead of I would like a hot tea. I would like a hot tea. I find blending a little bit more awkward to practice, but once you get it, it's a lot easier. So just be patient with yourself. And if you notice, there's also a linking opportunity. So if I were Siri or some other robot, it would sound like this. I would like a hot tea. But since we're not robots, I would like a hot tea. Good. Want to. Want to. It's so minor. That's why I say it can feel awkward because you're like, but you are pronouncing it. You're only pronouncing that T once, but it takes a while for it to sound smooth and take the pause away. I just want to read a book tonight. Now it's very natural to want to use informal contractions. I recommend it. Wanna. Americans, we love these things. However, as a non-native speaker, the mistake I see even at the more advanced levels is the tendency to use the informal contraction, but then still keep part of the original phrase. So repeat after me. I just want to read a book tonight. That's good. If you've caught yourself saying, I just wanted to, that's going to sound really incorrect and awkward. So again, it's no shame, but just something to catch yourself. So if you think you do this or if you hear yourself do it, that's okay. Just correct yourself in the moment. Okay. And let's practice these sentences. I want to go for a walk in the park. I want to go for a walk in the park. Good. I want to go for a walk in the park. This is the second one. And notice that I reduced instead of for a, I did use a more reduced form that Americans use, for a. I want to go for a, instead of for a. I want to go for a walk in the park. And this is why you have all the separate master classes, because understanding those small moments, and then when you put it all together, I think it's awesome. Now let's talk about intonation, because intonation and emphasis, yes, that's a separate masterclass, but I really find that the magic of connected speech is it allows you to emphasize more naturally. So let's practice over here. So now I want you to pretend you're in a group. Everyone's giving their own opinion, and you want to make sure that they know what your preference is. I want to go for a walk in the park. Like, I don't know what you want. I want to go for a walk in the park. Good. Now, let's say we're debating. Do we want to go to the park for a run? Do we want to go for a walk? Do we want to go play football? Do we want to go play soccer? You have your opinion, and this is it. I want to go for a walk in the park. I want to go for a walk in the park. So notice how it impacts how you blend or how you link it to walk in because of the emphasis on walk. Sometimes it eliminates the linking altogether, and that's okay. Now we're debating, do we want to go walk by the river? Do we want to go to the park? Do we want to go maybe just to the gym because it's cold outside? You want to be outdoors. I want to go for a walk in the park. Good. And again, visualization is really important. That's where you get the attitude, the flavor, the body language. It's imagining who you're talking to and what the situation is. All right, let's try this one. Phone number, the N. So again, here it's really important about the sound. It ends in an E, but the end is an N, and it begins with number. Phone number. What's your phone number? Hopefully by now, once you're doing it, you're realizing like, oh, it does feel good. It does make it easier to sound more natural, because now you know the reason you couldn't before, because you were trying to shove two N sounds in there when really you just needed one. So instead of what's your phone number? What's your phone number? Yes. These are the moments where, oh, this is just awesome, because like other languages have some of these similar patterns. And to me, it was such a moment of gratitude of like, oh, I'm not crazy. I knew there was something different going on there, but I didn't know what. And so understanding that, it just makes you appreciate the language, I think, and it makes you listen in a whole different way. Black car becomes black car. Good. He wants to buy a black car. And notice I use a reduced form instead of he wants to, he wants to. He wants to buy buy ya. He wants to buy a black car. So if you want to hear the difference, he wants to buy a black car. He wants to buy a black car. Subtle, but it's there. Last time, last time. Try not to be late, unlike last time. So notice the attitude. I'm thinking like your friend that's always late, right? And you're like, try not to be late, unlike last time. Now here, make sure, especially Spanish speakers, because you're here, finish the M sound. I find that Spanish speakers tend to leave the mouth open a little bit when words end in M or N, and you want to make sure you close it. Last time. Mm-mm-mm. Try not to be late, unlike last time. Good. And here, another example. Instead of try not to, Try not to be late. And last but not least, some more. Can I have some more, please? Okay, pretend you're at a restaurant and you want some more water. So the person comes over. Can I have some more, please?